Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's Resto, and this is the bread and my butter, the boomkin. Alright, for like I said in the other guides, I'm making these short and sweet. I'm not looking to go really in depth on this. Cataclysm's around the corner. Things are subject to change. However, the things that I'm showing you guys are going to be pretty much going into Cataclysm as well. So, I'm just going to focus on gear, talents, glyphs, etc. Things that you guys really want. When it comes to the gear, basically what I went for was crit haste with a mix of mastery. Now, what I did here is obviously I'm going to go in a boomkin form so I can show you guys increased haste. So 25% haste. That is the threshold that I went for. Now, when it comes to hit on an 81 Twink, you want to go for at least 17%. I know on 80, it's like 18% if you want to hit 84s, and then like 20 and 22% if you want to do for 85s. 85s are going to be super rare when it comes to Cataclysm because there's going to be an actual population. So take that in consideration. Don't worry about 85s. You're barely going to see them. When it comes to the crit and mastery, obviously that comes with it, but I was mainly shooting for these two margins right here. Obviously, you got extra dot ticks. That's why you want to go with high haste. However, I could change this mastery into haste right now as well, and my cast time could still go down by a lot, by like 0.4, 0.5. So if you really want a lot of like really fast hits and all that other fun stuff, like right now I have a 1.6 cast time on my Wrath, it could go down even more. If you really care about that, change the mastery to hit. I didn't care for that. I just went for a good threshold and then changed everything else to mastery, so that way I have at least a 40% increase on my bonus damage. Anyways, that's pretty much my offstat logic. You guys don't have to copy me if you don't want to, but this is what I'm running. This is the Willowy Crown. This comes from a quest reward. This is going to be 26 intellect, 20 crit for the enchant that you're going to put on it. Comes from the Witness Occurred. This is going to be crit mastery. Going onto the neck, this comes from the Vortex Pinnacle, second boss, I want to say second boss. Yes, Amulet of Tender Breath. You're going to go ahead and reforge that spirit into mastery, so that way you have crit mastery. And then the shoulder, you're going to get Mantle of Distilled Winds. This comes from the first boss. This is going to, of Vortex Pinnacle, I believe. I know it comes from Vortex Pinnacle, but first boss or second boss? I want to say first boss. 68 Spirit is what you're going to have overall from being reforged it into crit, so that way you have a good crit haste build. What I went for here, you guys don't have to do this. I went for the 30 stam, 15 resilience. That way it combines with the trinket, giving me a total of a 5% reduction on damage. If you guys don't care about that 5%, then go ahead and throw this on here, which is the Heavy Savage Armor Kit. Go ahead and put 44 stamina, so that way you guys get a little bit more stamina. But if you, like I said, if you don't care about the 5%, throw that on there instead. Get a little bit more stamina. It's going to pump you up closer to 52k. But that's what I have right now for that specific reason. It's always nice to have a little bit of damage reduction, 5% minimum. Anything below that, useless. Moving on to the cloak, we're looking at the Shadow of Perfect Bliss. This right here, we're going to go ahead and reforge the hit into mastery, just because we don't need that much hit. You got to think the talent that's giving us the spirit is converting it into hits, so that's where a lot of the hits coming from. We're going to go ahead and put 50 intellect on this. You guys are probably wondering why not spell pen. The reason being, there's going to be a buff, and the buff comes from druids, and you can get up to 96 resistance on all of this stuff, magical resistance. Now, when it comes to the spell pen, I'm putting it into here, so I only have 100 spell pen. You're only resisting the nature and arcane damage, guys. We're not resisting shadow and all that other stuff. We're not a shadow class. We're a nature class. So the resistance in this bracket isn't going to be super high. You only need 100. So that's where I put this into here. It's going to help me get to that threshold. So going on to the chest, we're looking at the Acid Eaten Vest. This is going to go ahead and reforge the 20 or the spirit into haste, so that way we have a haste mastery right here. We're going to go ahead and put 20 stats on this. Going on to the bracers, we have the armbands of change. We're going to put 50 intellect on this. The 50 intellect enchant may or may not be available on your server immediately. You got to think this is a world drop. The 50 strength, 50 agility, and 50 intellect are all world drops. I'm assuming on Cataclysm there's going to be millions of people playing, so it's going to be more common to have on here, not so much. But crit haste, obviously, don't need to rechange anything. Fun stuff. Biting Wind is going to be your guys' go-to dagger. It's going to be a crit haste dagger coming from the first boss in Vortex. The Vortex. Go ahead and put Power Torrent on this. This is going to be super nice for your dots. Increase the magnitude, 500 intellect. Very nice. Moving on to the Prophet's Scepter. With this, you're going to have Mastery Crit. So you're going to change the Spirit into Critical Strike. However, let's say you don't want to run that. Actually, let's see. Where is it at? Right here. So this is the Book of Blood. This is something that you can run as well if you guys want to run that. Have a 27%, so see how it goes down. You guys are going to go ahead and put this on if you want to run crit haste completely and have everything go crit haste. But like I said, I don't really care too much about that. I want to prioritize some of my mastery, keep that up, because we're losing about 4% of our increased bonus. So that's why I want to have that mastery median in between. But the Prophet Scepter is going to be your go-to with the 40 intellect. But like I said, you can get this. This is a crafted book. We're going to go to 40 intellect with crit haste. But like I said, I'm running this. Anyways, we're going on to the Relic. This is going to be the Captured Lightning. This is going to be the very last boss in the Vortex Pinnacle. Putting a 50 spell penetration gem into this. This is going to be your crit haste from the Spirit being reforged into crit. Then we got the Deep Delving Gloves. This comes from, don't remember the name, Stone Core. It's going to come from Stone Core, the first boss. Or the second boss. So you guys are going to go with this, reforge the Spirit into crit, so that we have a good crit haste with the 50 haste enchant that goes onto it. This is the Belt of Redeemed Fate. This is going to be a BOE belt. You can go ahead and slap this on the auction house. Or not slap it, but get it from the auction house. There's going to be a lot of them. They're common drop, so you probably won't spend more than 100 gold on it. Maybe less. Honestly, Cataclysm, it's going to be more common, so you maybe 50 gold. Reforge the Spirit into crit so that we have a good crit mastery, and then use the belt buckle socket for spell pens to give you that 100 spell pen. Now with the pants, you're going to go with the Rock Tux Breeches of the Undertow. Reforge Spirit into crit, so you have a good crit haste with the 55 intellect, 65 stamina spell thread that goes on to this. Now, you can go different ways with this. You can do the crit spirit, you can do mastery spirit, or you can do haste spirit. Either or works. I chose haste because, like I said, I want to reach that threshold. Completely up to you. For me, I went with the decap slippers on the boots. Reforge spirit into mastery, so that way we have a crit mastery. And then for the rings, I went with the Finkel's Twinkle. Now, this right here, a lot of people might choose the cloak from this crust reward rather than the ring. This cloak is going to be for 81s. Way better than the cloak that it gives you there. So choose this ring so that way you get a Abyss ring for crit haste. And then you can also pair it up with the Rose Quartz wing from Stone Core as well for crit haste as well. So you have 2 crit haste rings. Super nice to have. And then for the trinkets, I have the medallion, and then I'm using the Tendrils of Burrowing Dark that also comes from Stone Core. This is going to be mastery. I do not care to reforge the mastery. I'm keeping it to get me to that threshold. As you've seen in the video, this is how my Boomy performs with this gear. So it works. I've found different things to test with gear-wise. I've tried different reforging things, and this is what I've figured out works best for me and my playstyle. So if you guys want to copy me to the T, you can. Otherwise, this gear is what you can do and play with and have fun with. Moving on to the professions. I don't have any professions, like I mentioned in every video, because I'm just testing things. I don't care to go true Abyss. I want to figure out what classes I want to use. So this is what I would recommend for a Boomy. Now, Boomy does have very good survivability if you know how to position correctly. However, when you're getting trained, you best believe you better have a healer next to you, otherwise you are going to die. So, with that being said, engineering is a must. You must get engineering. This is going to be huge for Boomy, for kiting, especially getting away and getting better positioning on things, or maybe catching up to somebody, but mainly for positioning and getting away. That is huge. Those bombs are going to save your life. 10 out of 10 recommend. Now, for the second profession, alchemy is BIS because of the trinket that you can get. So it's not going to give you a mastery trinket. It's going to give you a critical strike trinket. So, or no, a haste trinket. So there's that. You can reforge the haste into mastery if you want. However, I don't want to go alchemy for a socket bonus and some haste. I really don't care for that. Yes, I do get 40% increase in my potions and anything I consume. Don't be wrong. It is super good to have and too good to pass up. However, for a second profession, I would run tailoring solely for the enchants on the cloak and whatnot. That is huge, especially at 81. You got to think your stats are increased. I would go tailoring instead of alchemy. So I'd do engineering and tailoring. That would be for me what I would do. Or if you don't want to run tailoring, you could run enchanting and get the enchants on your rings. You could also do that as well. Put intellect on your rings, increase the magnitude of your spells. That is also an option as well. So tailoring or enchanting. If you want to go alchemy and get rid of this and lose out on the buff of 1290 spell power on top of the mastery, that is completely up to you as what you guys want to do. But me solely, I'm choosing this for that reason. How you can also replace this for this and have a buff on spell power as well in this aspect. If you want to go and time your bursts, right? Think of it like the battle trinket in endgame. That's what you could do with this trinket. So that is something you could do. I do use this sometimes, but I'm solely really focused on using this trinket throughout my entire time in the games. Really just depends on what I'm doing, but those two I'll swap out with. But yeah, I would go tailoring or enchanting and then definitely engineering. Moving on to the talents. So this is what I run for my talents. I can recommend some other things. I've seen other things and I know that you can do different routes. So what you can do if you don't want to copy me to the T, you can change Blessing of the Grove, take these two talents and throw them into Feral Swiftness. That way you can move faster in cat form. And then you can also take Starlight Wrath, take 3 points from there and put it into Owlkin Frenzy. This is nice if you get trained a lot, right? Increases your damage. And then you can take 2 from Gale Winds and then put it into... Actually, no, don't do that. I lied. This is for 84. Fungal Growth, we don't get mushrooms, so it doesn't matter. Keep this and put this into here. You could take 2 and put it into here, into Moonglow. Reduces the mana cost and damaging of your spells. I know you can run out of mana pretty quick in this bracket as well, especially at 81. You will find yourself low on mana a lot. Innervate only does so much for you guys. So if you don't want to increase the Typhoon or the range of your Cyclone, go ahead and put it into Moonglow, and then same thing, put it into here. Or you could take it into here and put it into here. So you could take these 2 points and put it into Fury. So this increases your maximum mana. That is the sole reason why you're going for this, is to increase your mana. Everything else doesn't really matter. When it comes down to putting extra rage, I usually just go bear form, pop my enrage, and then pop whatever I need to do after that, which is most likely going to be Frenzied Regeneration. That's what I would pair these two with. So it's completely up to you whether or not you guys wanted to put 2 into Fear instead of Gale Winds. Me personally, my playstyle, I want that Cyclone. I want that distance. That way I'm able to help CC and manage and just kind of control my environments. That's just me. And then I have Starlight Wrath because I want to have faster cast times on these spells. This I do run, but not always. That's the only thing. I do run it in endgame when I'm in BGs, like RBGs and whatnot, when I have like an actual team behind me. So that's different. But when I'm solo, I do like the idea of this. I also run this in arenas, so there is that as well. But this is basically what I run. Like I said, if you don't want to run it exactly, those are the 3 talents that I'd swap out. So I'd go Gale Winds into Fear, Blessing of the Grove into Feral Swiftness, and then Starlight into Owlkin Frenzy. So that's what I would run. For Glyphs, they're pretty straightforward, not much to it. Glyph of Star Surge, Glyph of Moonfire, Glyph of Insect Swarm, increase that dot damage and absolutely pump. Glyph of Barkskin is a must-have, cannot stress this enough. Glyph of Solar Beam for a major. Now, I know for the major you have options, so you can run Entangling Roots if you really wanted to. I prefer the Glyph of Solar Beam. The entangling roots is nice so that way you get a faster cast on roots so that way you can combine it with your solar beam. However, I'd rather them be in that solar beam longer. That's just me personally, what I want to do. So they're in that beam for 5 seconds rather than a shorter time frame than what it originally offers. And then I have Glyph of Starfall, reduces the cooldown of your Starfall, so you're able to pump out more Starfall. Starfall is where a lot of your damage comes from as well. And then I have Unburden, Rebirth, Mark of the Wild, and Dash. These are like your go-to cookie cutter, like every Druid's going to be running this. You know, these are your known to. But this is what I would run. In terms of glyphs, I really wouldn't swap it out. I really wouldn't change it out. I've tried different things, but this is, I think mainly this is what I'm swapping out and trying out. But I'm finding out this is what I prefer the most. I prefer having them in a 5-second beam, longer CC, so that I'm able to control the environment around me. But this is what I run. This is the glyphs that I would recommend if you want to copy my build to the T. But there is some wiggle room that you can do with the glyphs. So other than that, it's been Resto, guys. I'm more going to work on the next guide, so see you guys next time.